Thank you, Presiding Officer. Minister, many communities across my region have become isolated as they lost public transport links. None more than my home village of Penyfai, which has no bus service to Bridgend or Porthcawl, and despite the efforts of the Community Council, our village remains without public transport links or even active travel routes. Private vehicles remain the only option for residents, and not everyone has that option, particularly our elderly population. Minister, what will your government do to ensure that people living outside towns and cities have equal access to public transport?
Well, I think Altaf Hussain perfectly sums up the consequences of the deregulation of the bus industry we saw in the 1980s, where routes aren't run based on social need, but they're run based on where private companies can turn a profit. And that privatised model, I think, has shown itself to have failed, because what it promised to achieve, which is extra passenger choice, has not materialised. And Altaf Hussain sums up a very good example of where people are left without any choice at all. And I want people to have the genuine choice. At the moment, in the village that he lives in, it sounds like unless you have a car, you really have no choice. And that clearly is not right. We don't want to force people to make choices, but we want to give people real choices and real alternatives. I'll be publishing in the coming weeks a paper on sustainable transport in rural areas, because we can look at plenty of international examples of areas much more sparsely populated than Wales, where they have good public transport links. And that's a choice that governments can make. It's not inevitable that rural areas are entirely car dependent. There are a range of things that can be done, and that's what I hope the regional transport plans will allow us to do. And of course that will depend upon future funding, and we do need to spend more money on public transport, which is one of the reasons why we instituted the roads review, which was so vociferously opposed by his benches. But we recognise if we want people to have more choice, we have to invest in those choices and not just invest in an never-ending road pipeline of road schemes, because that way the car dependence he describes will simply continue.